wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic podcast. This is Steve coming to you from my little humble stoa here in Conway, Arkansas. This is a podcast where we explore the ancient philosophy of Stoicism and apply it to modern life. And I thank you for listening today. And I want to thank Leanna, my newest patron, who generously is supporting the show for taking the time and to give a little financial help to the podcast. And I want to thank all my patrons for doing that. If it weren't for my patrons, I would have quit a while ago, because justifying, $150 or whatever it is for a website, every year, whatever it is, I can't remember, and justifying, paying for hosting a podcast out of our own pocket, probably wouldn't have lasted too long. So thank you so much for all of you who support the show. And, just a humble thank you from me, your host. And, to the rest of you, I also appreciate you listening. I really like it when I hear from listeners who tell me how, Stoicism in general, or sometimes this podcast, has, benefited them. From a Stoic perspective, those are preferred indifference, right? We know I do this show for me mostly. And what do I mean by that? I do it to help me learn Stoicism better, but also I do it to try to practice some form of justice, just giving to the world what I'm learning and trying, hopefully a few of you, get something good out of it. And I've heard from folks from all over the world who have gotten something out of it, and I'm very touched by that. I've always loved different cultures and musical styles and accents, when people speak English anyway. And I've loved I learn words in other languages. And so to hear from people from around the world, to me, is just awesome and exciting. And I love it when I hear from you. So thank you so much. And you can email the show at sundaystoic@gmail.com. So, this week, we're going to time travel all the way back to 2016 when I started the show. I decided, for those of you who don't know, I took several of the first 20 episodes or so off the internet, although they're still on YouTube if you want to find them. But I took them off the podcast anyway, and I gave access to patrons only to those. And I thought, well, how about what we do today is we go back to episode 1, the first episode of the Sunday Stoic. I had a less refined intro, and perhaps less refined recording technique, but right now my kid's playing with Transformers right outside the door. So, there's always noise on the Sunday Stoic podcast in the background, but, a little less refined perhaps than it is now. But still, I had some good readings, and I think I had a good message, and I thought, well, how about I just kind of revisit those readings. I'm not going to redo the episode exactly, but we'll redo the readings from that episode and talk about them anew. And so that episode was called Distractions. So we'll call this one Distractions as well. But this is episode, I think, 194. So we are rapidly approaching episode 200. So anyone listening, if you want your voice on episode 200 to talk about how Stoicism's helped you, you don't have to brag up my podcast. Just talk about Stoicism, how you practice Stoicism, what your practices are, what you recommend for people getting into Stoicism or sustaining Stoicism, or what it's done, what benefits you've noticed in your life after having practiced Stoicism. Shoot me an MP3 or some kind of recording, because it's a lot better than me reading it to hear your voice, to sundaystoic@gmail.com. And I will put those on. If anyone does that, sometimes no one replies when I ask for this sort of thing. Sometimes you do. I'll put them on episode number 200 coming up in a few weeks. So this week's episode's on distractions, and distractions are something I struggle with constantly. I have great intentions. I'm not always great at follow through at the discipline. So that's, temperance, but I'm not always good at focusing on the goal at hand. and trying to achieve the goal at hand, or maybe even I'm not always great at solidifying what the goal is. And to make it worse, I'm really bad about thinking about the goal, thinking about what I need to accomplish the goal. Maybe I need to buy this thing to help this goal succeed. And I can plan the goal. That's fun. But actually implementing the lifestyle change that I need to implement, that's hard. One thing I have done lately, and I think I've mentioned it already on the show, is I'm trying at least 6 days a week or so to fast for several hours. So I quit eating around 8 p.m. and then I resume eating at noon the next day. Now, I have been pretty happy that I have slipped a few times and had something to eat like 10 minutes later or 10 minutes sooner. I haven't slipped too bad though. But I have stuck with it. I've been pretty happy with that. But I have not seen any weight loss because I'm probably eating too much in the window that I have available to me. So I need to stop snacking between meals. I have a love affair with cheese, for example, and that's bad. Extra sharp cheddar. My son and I are fiends. I need to cut back on that. So you know, I can focus on a goal if it's simple. I'm hoping it will also have a preferred indifferent change in my lifestyle. I'm hoping I'll lose some weight, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, I can focus on some goals, but others I find more difficult. Like I want to get up early. And the problem is I find that very hard because I don't always sleep very well. I've always had trouble sleeping. So sometimes mornings are just hard because I'm tired. No matter what time I go to bed, I don't necessarily sleep very well. I roll around a lot. It's just not, I don't know. I don't get great night's sleep sometimes. And now I have a kid, and so it's even worse sometimes, right? But then I forget that my goal is to get up early. So I need to just set a constant alarm. And, you know, I can't go easy on myself or I get distracted. I'll think, oh, well, I'll go pursue this other goal. I'll pursue this other goal. And I think to be a successful Stoic, what we need to do is have very simple goals. We can't just say, well, I'm going to turn my life around right now. That's not going to work. You might say, what is one thing I could change right now that would give me the confidence to change more things, and it would give me have the most impact on my life if I just change this one thing and just do that one thing for now. Because my problem is I try to do 5 things and I get distracted. It's too much for one. I get overwhelmed and I get distracted, and I end up trying to find another thing I could change because what I just tried didn't work. So I need to change something else now. And then you move around. So distractions are a real problem. And Seneca often says we have to be careful because so many people, when they're about to die, are just beginning to live because they just finally realize that life is finite. They only have a limited amount of time, and then they start paying attention to what's really important in life. And at that point, they don't have much time left. And we need to realize that while we still have time to make changes in our lives. So we're going to hear from the 3 late Stoics, the 3 big late Stoics, and we'll talk a little bit more about distraction. The Enchiridion by Epictetus, number 44. It is illogical to reason thus. I am richer than you are. Therefore, I am superior to you. I am more eloquent than you. Therefore, I am superior to you. It is more logical to reason, I am richer than you, therefore my property is superior to yours. I am more eloquent than you, therefore my speech is superior to yours. You are something more than property or speech. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 2, number 5. Take care always to remember that you are a man and a Roman, and let every action be with perfect and unaffected gravity, humanity, freedom, and justice, and be sure you entertain no fancies, which may give check to these qualities. This is possible if you will but perform every action as though it were your last. If your appetites and passions do not cross upon your reason, if you keep clear of rashness and have nothing of insincerity and self-love to infect you, and do not complain of your destiny, You see what a few points a man has to gain in order to attain to a godlike way of living. For he that comes thus far performs all which the immortal powers will require of him. Moral Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, Book 1, reading 1 to 3. Continue to act thus, my dear Lucilius. Set yourself free for your own sake. Gather and save your time, which till lately has been forced from you, or filched away, or has merely slipped from your hands. Make yourself believe the truth of my words, that certain moments are torn from us. Some are gently removed, and others glide beyond our reach. The most disgraceful kind of loss, however, is that due to carelessness. Furthermore, if you will pay close heed to the problem, you will find that the largest portion of our life passes while we are doing ill, a goodly share while we are doing nothing, and the whole while we are doing that which is not to the purpose. What man can you show me who places any value on his time? Who reckons the worth of each day, and who understands that he is dying daily? For we are mistaken when we look forward to death. The major portion of death has already passed. Whatever years lie behind us are in death's hands. Therefore, Lucilius, do as you write me that you are doing. Hold every hour in your grasp. Lay hold of today's task, and you will not need to depend so much upon tomorrow's. While we are postponing, life speeds by. Nothing, Lucilius, is ours except time. We were entrusted by nature with the ownership of this single thing, so fleeting and slippery that anyone who will can oust us from possession. What fools these mortals be! They allow the cheapest and most useless things, which can easily be replaced, to be charged in the reckoning after they have acquired them. But they never regard themselves as in debt when they have received some of that precious commodity, time. And yet time is the one loan which even a grateful recipient cannot repay. The reading by Epictetus is one we've covered many times, but I warned you early in the podcast, back in like episode 1 or 2, that this is kind of like church. We're going to hear the same thing over and over again. You know, religions, for example, have cycles where you celebrate the same ideas every year. Stoicism has so many themes and only so many writings, so we revisit these ideas. The Enchiridion, number 44, he's just saying, remind yourself that you are not the stuff you own. You are not even your speech, right? Your speech is something you cultivate, something you might work on, but it's not you. You are something more than that. And what I take from this is, don't try to fill holes in one way you can read this is don't try to fill holes in your life with stuff and distractions. Because those things are not you. They don't make you better. They don't make you better. In fact, your pursuit of those things might even make you worse. So remember that. Make sure you're pursuing good things, things that make you a better person, not things that just make you a possessor of more stuff, a shepherd of more junk. You know, I right now consider myself a junk shepherd. I have too much stuff. I find it all interesting, like guitar amps and pedals that I hardly use, and World War II relics that I collected when I was younger, and got into World War II stuff because my grandpa's stories about World War II, and I have heck, if I look to my right, I see a Geiger counter from the 50s and a night vision monocle thing that you can see in the dark with, and I can see Halloween decorations in the closet and a bunch of guitar cables. So I'm a shepherd of junk. That stuff does not make me who I'm not more interesting because I own it. I am not a better person because I own it. In fact, spending that money and pursuing nonsense actually probably makes me a little worse off than I could have been if I had been focusing on character rather than stuff. Marcus says the simple life is simple. He says to be a man, to be a Roman. What does it take to do that? What are your roles? Focus on these few things, these simple things, and try to be unaffected by things that don't really matter. And that's what it takes to be godlike, to be simple, to be true, to be just and temperate and all of that, and to know what your goals are, to know who you want to be, and to be simple. The gods require nothing more than that. And so we get distracted and we think that being a good person is hard. But in fact, it's much simpler than doing what we're doing now. It might involve some work and a change in habit, but it's, in a way, simpler. We don't have to do as much. We have to do other things, and we have to do them sincerely, but we don't have to do as much. We don't have to own as much. We don't have to pursue all this crap. We don't have to be junk shepherds, the shepherds of the flock of nonsense. We don't have to corral our stuff, our junk, and our bad habits, and our sycophantic ways. We can get rid of all of that and just be honest like a candle, a light of goodness, and simple and beautiful, right? And then from Seneca, letter I've read before, one of my favorites, the very first one from Letters from a Stoic, or Moral Letters to Lucilius, or Lucilius, if you want to pronounce it probably like they did. Time. We get distracted so much by Netflix and TV and sports and politics and that thing we think we have to do but we don't want to do. And so, when it comes to something I think you have to do but you don't want to do, think about what is it you're accomplishing. Is it maintaining social status, or is it doing good in the world? If it's doing good in the world, maybe you should do it. If it's maintaining social, what would the neighbors think if I didn't go there? Well, screw that, right? If it's not something you're into, stop being fake. One thing about Stoicism is I think there's some authenticity there that we don't talk about a lot, is be authentic as hell. Stop doing stuff that's fake to you. If it's not something that's part of you, don't do it. Now, if being a good person's not part of you, then I guess you probably ought not even bother with Stoicism. But if you're trying to be just and temperate and wise, and then all this other superfluous stuff is not you, but you have been doing it anyway, you have to really evaluate that and say, why am I doing this? This is dumb. I don't need to be on the party planning committee for parties that I loathe attending anyway, right? I don't need to be on this committee. I don't need to be involved. So think about things that are distracting. Like, maybe I should read a book on Stoicism, or maybe I should read whatever your religious holy book is or whatever, instead of watching Tiger King tonight on Netflix. And I will say I have not yet watched Tiger King, and I plan on never doing that. But I've heard about it. So time, as he says, Seneca says, goes by when we're not paying attention. It flows by and you turn around. I just realized that today. This week will be the 15th anniversary when I moved to Canada, because I flew to Canada while Hurricane Katrina was hitting the coast, and I went there for graduate school, and I can't believe it's been that long. Time goes by. This is also the anniversary, 2004, on the day I'm recording this, when my uncle passed away unexpectedly at age 54, which is one of those things that really, I wish I'd had Stoicism then, or had been able to cultivate the idea that these things will happen, because it hit like a thunderbolt and really shook up the family and really was hard to bear, and it still has repercussions today in terms of our family farm and other things, because he was the farmer, and it's changed our little world. But we get distracted. We lose track of time, and then we're like, oh crap, where did it go? I need more time. I gotta have more time. It's like, well, if you just spent literally, you lived on this earth for 70 years and you spent 4 of those years on your phone. You had plenty of time to do good things and to have a fulfilling life, but you wasted it looking at cat videos and worrying about what your neighbor thought about your picture of your dog. You wasted that time. Don't waste that time. And so half the time he says we lose it while doing things that are really bad, pursuing nonsense. That's bad for our character. And also we lose a lot of it, he says, while we do nothing. We have to remember that we die every day. Every day we're further from our birth. We're closer to our end. But he says the end is just the last step of death. Every day that passes is like an hourglass filling up with death. We have died. We have lost so much life already. We have to remember to keep up with what it is we're here for. And to do that, you need to, that's where journaling and things like that come in. You need to remind yourself of what it is you're trying to do, what it is you've reflect on at the end of the day. How did I waste some of today? And of course, we need relaxation and things like that, but it's deliberate relaxation, not mindless waste. And so you can keep track of that by reflecting on your day and writing each day. And so I recommend, if you haven't started a journal, do it. It can be real simple. It doesn't have to be handwritten. It can be typed. It can be handwritten. Heck, it could be you talking into your phone like I do this podcast, talking into a microphone here. And one of the last things he says, if we hold on today's task, we will not depend so much upon tomorrow. If we live well now and we find out tomorrow that we have one day to live, we won't lament so much because we know we have done well. What we don't want to do is get that death sentence from the doctor or, like Socrates. We want to be like Socrates, right? You get a death sentence and you're like, okay, hand me the hemlock. Let's go. That's the way to be. But when you get to the end and it's like, wait, I wanted more time. I need more time. I didn't get to do this, and this. We want to ensure that's not us, if at all possible. And we have to remember that we need to set our agendas. The things we want to do should be things that are within the realm of our Stoic philosophy. Like taking the kids to Disneyland is a preferred indifferent, right? It's not something we should be devastated on if we don't get to do it. It might be a good thing to do if it's something you think would bring your family together and you can pursue. So I'm not saying don't do those things, but also say, I should have spent more time with my family. We should have had dinner at the table every night, not in front of the television. We should have spent more time talking instead of staring at a screen. Those are where the big differences are made, not big trips. Oh, we have to go to Europe or we have to do this together. No, just time together. We have to be careful as Stoics not to lose ourselves in reading Stoicism so much that it takes us away from time we should be spending putting things into practice by living life. It's important to read, but it's important if all you did was read Stoic texts and think about how you might improve, that's still wasting time, right? Studying is for a purpose. If you don't enact that purpose, you have also been distracted and you have wasted time. So let's think about ways that we can pull it together. We can ensure that our Stoic research, our readings, and our journaling is to a purpose. And it is not just a distraction from the rest of the day. It's something that fuels how we engage in the rest of the day and in the rest of our lives. Send me your thoughts, your comments. Send me your audio clips for episode 200 coming up soon. SundayStoic@gmail.com. And from the Sunday Stoic podcast here in Conway, Arkansas, I'm Steve. Seize the day. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to the Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review the Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe diem.